A Boeing 737 aircraft operated by Jeju Air crashed at the Muan International Airport in South Korea this morning, killing 85 people on board. A harrowing video shows the moment that the plane veered off the runway, crashed and then burst into flames. The plane was carrying 181 passengers, including 6 crew members. Among those were 2 Thai nationals who were traveling as well, who were perhaps on vacation. Now, these 2 were also on board. As far as the rescue operations are concerned, they're still underway. The death toll continues to rise, as now we're learning that over 80 people have been killed in this accident. My colleague Vishal joins us with more details. Vishal, if you could take us through the latest rescue operations. Vishal, if you can hear me. Right, we'll try and get my colleague Vishal on the broadcast, but the latest that we're tracking for you is that over 80 people, close to 85 people have been now killed in this accident that took place at a South Korean airport. My colleague Vishal is back with us with more details. Vishal, take us to the latest on the rescue operations.
So the latest is that this is possibly the worst aviation disaster in South Korea's history. The latest says that almost everyone on board has died except 2. 2 people were rescued. There were totally 181 people on board, including 6 crew members. So 179 people are presumed dead at the moment. That is the latest report. So it's a huge tragedy. The airline has issued an official apology. It has said that it bows down in shame that such a tragedy has occurred. And at the same time, the Thailand government has initiated a probe into the matter because when the plane landed, the lower carriage could not be deployed, and that has resulted in this huge tragedy. The plane skidded off the runway and hit one of the fences, and it exploded right on impact, killing almost everyone on board. As I mentioned, there were more than 180 people on board, and almost everyone has died. And there were mostly South Koreans on board. There were 2 or 3 Thai nationals as well. So this flight was traveling from Bangkok to Muan in South Korea. So it could be assumed that mostly there were, holiday travelers who would have gone there to enjoy, year-end special weekend. But that has resulted in a huge tragedy, and almost everyone on board has died.
Right, thank you, Vishal, for joining us and bringing us those details. I'm also being joined by Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar, Director of Various Aviators. He's also the former CEO of Akasa International. Thank you for joining us, sir. Firstly, this seems to be one of the worst aviation disasters, like my colleague was mentioning, in South Korea. As far as the technical details we know that a belly landing was attempted and landing gear was not fully extended as well. So as far as the preliminary details that we're getting in from the reports coming in, what can you gather, sir?
You know what, it's quite evident from the video that the aircraft did a belly landing, and hydraulic, in fact, the landing gear was not even extended because I could not see the nose landing gear also. And Boeing 737 has a hydraulic system for landing gear, but they have an emergency landing gear system also. And that is totally independent of the hydraulic, and with that the manual lever is there. And they have got the cables and the linkages mechanical, which extends the landing gear. So it's very too early to say anything what exactly and why it was not extended. And it is very evident that they did a belly landing.
Sir, but the Jeju Air has also come out with an apology at this point. But do you think this disaster could have been averted?
That's too early to say. Yes, of course, because since the landing gear has a alternate system of emergency landing gear, it depends upon whether it was, and we do extend the landing gear quite, at least 800 to 900 feet above the ground. And if that time the landing gear had not come down, so the pilot could have made a go around and tried again another with the emergency landing gear. Or maybe it appears that it collapsed, but the nose landing gear was not visible at all. So that's too early now. The inquiry will say what exactly happened. But yes, there was no landing gear deployment, which is quite evident from the video what we saw.
Right, and this is quite a terrible aviation accident. We're now learning that almost 179 passengers, that's almost everyone on board, has died in this tragic crash. And we can see the amount of force that the plane hits the wall with and then combusts into flames. So in terms of South Korean aviation as well, sir, they seem to be having quite a good amount of safety measures in place. So this is quite a big disaster considering South Korean airline and their safety.
Yes, the safety record proved quite good, and I believe they've got a nice, very experienced pilots. So, any kind of aviation disaster or these kinds of accidents, it's too early to say what exactly could have gone wrong in the cockpit. But as far as the aircraft we saw burst into flame, there must be yes, good amount of fuel also in the tanks. That's the reason we saw the ball of fire. But the landing gear not getting extended. These days, it's quite, I would say, not heard of, because you got the manual and the backup system is always there, especially for the landing gear.
But do you think so there can be something more done in these cases, maybe some, in terms of technology, if there can be some sort of improvement to avoid such accidents in the future as well?
We have these days. It's all these days. It's fly-by-wire system, hydraulically operated. All the systems. So we have a backup of mechanical backup. And Boeing 737 has got a cable and a mechanical linkages that got nothing to do with electrical and anything to do with hydraulic. So I'm also quite surprised. And they say why the emergency landing gear was not extended, or there was some problem with the aircraft itself. So the inquiry will tell when they find out what is the position of the emergency landing gear handle, why it was not extended. But yes, we do have the planes are quite safe these days, and they have in fact backup system for each and every system on board.
Right, sir. And on that point, if you could also elaborate a bit on the technicalities of this particular flight. It was a Boeing 737 aircraft, and it does have, like you mentioned, safety measures already in place.
Yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. You have the aircraft has a emergency backup system also. Every aircraft has got an emergency backup system. In fact, the landing gear, especially, just to avoid that, in case you have a hydraulic failure, like we saw in the Azerbaijan crash, where the hydraulic pipelines had totally busted, and the aircraft was not,
Right.
they were not able to control the aircraft. So landing gear is a very important system in the aircraft. They have a system which is independent of the hydraulics. That is why you have everything is mechanical linkage and everything is there for that.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Bhatnagar, and bringing us those details and sharing us and bringing some insight into this particular story.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.